Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. We are here to talk about the Challenge All-Stars Episode 9, Part 1 of the finale, last elimination of the season. A lot going on here. I'm Allan. I'm joined by my lovely co-host. We have the vivacious Monty and Zoe Jimboli.
Hi.
We have a lovely classic Canadian, Miss Nikki Sin.
Hello. Oh my god, classy.
Yeah, and we got Luke from Virginia.
Well, what's up? Couldn't call me vivacious or classy. It's okay.
No. Just Luke did. I'm kidding. I love these people. We're all back together to talk about this episode of Challenge. And I'm going to just say it off the bat because you're going to hear my voice a lot. It's not on my cough some. I got COVID right now. I got it like 4 or 5 days ago.
Whoa.
I honestly feel mostly pretty good. Like I haven't, like compared to the symptoms other people had, I can taste everything. I haven't had a headache in like 72 hours. Like I'm mostly pretty good. I just have some congestion going on right now. Hopefully it passes by. And I want to give a shout out to my best friend Heather DiFrancesco for sending me a care package with Tostita scoops with with my favorite chocolates, with my favorite drinks. She listens to our podcast, so I just want to give a shout out to her. She's very lovely, and yeah, I have COVID, so if I cough, etc., I apologize. Let's talk about this episode though, because we open up with the pole wrestle between Nehemiah and Derrick, and by God, there's no other way to put it. Nehemiah beats the shit out of him.
It was not competitive at all. Ugh.
And I just loved that Nehemiah chose not to go against West that Derrick chose not to go against West because Nehemiah was the easier option. I don't think so.
Not easy at all. I love watching that. I love like an underdog story in a sense.
It was like I don't think we've ever seen like that dominant of a pole wrestle win when against a good competitor. Because, like, you have Nani ripping the stick from Brittany in, like, 2 seconds. But it's like, you know what? Brittany's not good. You have, Fessy beating Jordan. Jordan, didn't have 2 hands on the pole. You have stuff like that. Like, Nelson being bare. Like, that's stuff you expect. You never see someone who's, like, known for pole wrestle just get dominant. Like, Nehemiah manhandled him. He played elimination in a smart way. Like, never at any point did it ever you think, like, Derrick was going to get the upper hand. Nehemiah had it the whole time.
And Derrick's is built on those physical eliminations. Like his bread and butter that's what he is. And at some point during the elimination, he made this like really pitiful sound. He was like, ah! And I was like, oh man, this has got to be the saddest thing I've watched all season, potentially. Like, not Derrick, not going out on a high note. Sorry, pal.
It was kind of like poetic justice. Maybe not poetic justice is the right terminology, but like Derrick also prides himself on like killing Joss with the Vendettas elimination. He's like, it's the best elimination of all time. Like I'm the pole wrestle champ. I mean, or Crazy 8, same thing. And he got annihilated.
It was like, when your dog gets a new toy and it just is like whipping it around. So Derrick was the toy.
Yeah.
Got whipped around like the little dog he barks like. I'm sorry. We love to see it. And I would say this, like, even though I'm not a Derrick fan, I'm sure people know that, but I would say this about anybody that got whipped around like that. Anybody that talked so much shit beforehand.
You called the easy option. He definitely wasn't. Nehemiah, I mean, he debuted on the challenge like 16 years ago, never had a headbanger in his life. Waited for the right moment. That was impressive as hell. And I gotta say, like, how about Nehemiah's hype squad? Because like I posted a photo of it on Twitter. John A, Naya, and Wes literally jumping in the air the moment he rips the pole, all in unison. Like they were 3 people, but they felt like 1,000. They were so loud. And like, Derrick, where's your guy Mark? He's not saying anything. You don't got enough hype.
I was thinking while I was watching that, I hope it reignites a little bit of a Derrick West rivalry. I would love to see that kind of happen again, because apparently it wasn't enough of a rivalry for Derrick to want to face off against him. And so I hope that got under his skin just enough that he's going to have a chip on his shoulder about it.
Scoops. A Tostito scoops on his shoulder.
These are both guys who have been on all 3 All-Star seasons. Nehemiah, 2 finals now. Almost made the final of the third season, but then Big Easy pulled out that elimination win out of nowhere. Nehemiah was actually really good that season as well too. Like he killed that swimming challenge, won a trivia challenge, won an elimination. He was good on that season too. Maybe should have won All Stars too, if not for the format of that final. Derrick, 3 seasons, one final. His one final performance, he got purged immediately. If you ask someone before All Stars, like who the better player is between these two, they'd laugh at you and just say Derrick, obviously. But if you only watch the All Star seasons, there's like no question it's Nehemiah.
Right, and I'm not this is not a direct comment on Naya and Jordan's relationship, but I did notice her cheering for Nehemiah. She was like, "Break his shit, do it!" And I was like, "What?" And then you just stood there and like almost cried the whole time Jordan competed
because she was in real terror that whole time.
Oh, I think it was like her friendship with Nehemiah. I think that him going into that elimination fueled something in Naya too. Like I wanted to see that competitor in her.
I really like them together. I'm not gonna lie. I really like their scenes together. Like I know I was like very pro Jordan Naya all season, but now I watched their like the Nehemiah Naya season, and they actually feel like they have a more of a bond.
He's more uplifting.
Well, I was gonna say it's a more natural relationship.
Yeah, and it seems uplifting, whereas Jordan's was just like dictating, this is what's happening, this is how we feel, we're better now, we're moving on. I mean, they had their sweet moments, but yeah, like Nehemiah just is kind, he's in for the most part. It's fun to watch.
But I think that we all know, people don't usually end up with the person that everybody's like, oh, they're perfect for this person. I've definitely chased along with blind eyes for partners, so.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry.
Allan knows me, it's fine.
No, my bad. I'm just like, man, we've talked a lot about this Nehemiah Derrick portion. So I'm like, that's why. Okay, we got the KellyAnne, Kayla pump fake, which Zoe and I talked about last week. We knew there was not going to be an elimination. Like, we knew it, and it's still a big fuck you for them putting in the trailer because last week's episode was terrible. So the fact that like this was one thing to maybe look forward to and it's not even there for this week, it makes that episode even worse. Kayla was pissed off because she knew she was going to be KellyAnne. She doesn't like KellyAnne at this point. And why would you want to face KellyAnne, who has amazing cardio in the final?
I love that reaction from her. Like I'm obviously already a huge Kayla fan, but watching her get so pissed about not getting to toss KellyAnne around, like I was just like, I was getting enraged that I didn't get to see her live that out because she was so ready.
Yeah, and the difference was, spot on, by the way. Kayla was like, I wanted to go. Like, you made me through a mouthpiece. And KellyAnne was just like giggling and like happy to still be there. I'm like, dang, like that really could have sucked. And I get it would have made the males and females uneven for the final, but then just do the next challenge and only do it for the men. But disappointing and build up for what?
I was so frustrated because like I feel like if I was Kayla, I would have been like, okay, let's do it anyways. It won't eliminate you, but let's do it anyways, because
give me a star.
Yeah, we've been talking this shit all.
Come on, TJ, let's get them ratings.
Yeah.
I'm hearing they want to end these all-star shows. Let's do a pole wrestle right now.
Let me end this all-star.
They built up the rivalry all season just to say, it's not happening.
Frustrating. TJ brings the entire crowd down. Like, oh, did we go to the final? Are we going to start the final right now? Because last season, after the Darrell Janelle elimination, they threw them immediately into the final. Nope, they have a surprise challenge. They think it might end in a purge or an elimination of sorts. They have to play trivia based on a wall of pictures that they had in their dining room all season, which I love that fact because it's trivia about their castmates. And there's just like an element of like, some people can tune out where they're eating. Like they have no idea what's going on. Me, like I remember all the posters in my middle school cafeteria.
Yeah, and like TJ made the comment, like, I told you to reminisce. We of course didn't see that. And I'm curious if like he actually did or if it was just like, here's a wall to reminisce. But I liked the little game that it was.
Yeah, and I'm glad that in the scheme of things it didn't mean that much because I didn't want, like, I felt for Brad coming in last because again he's had such a killer season that if that had eliminated him I would have been pissed because that just wouldn't have been fair.
It felt very like, I'm sure people will get mad because they're not big fans of the show, but it felt very Big Brother like that's something they would have done. Yeah, that's something they would have. They would have had a challenge like that in the Big Brother house. They do it on Big Brother Canada too, where they're like, like pay attention to your surroundings.
It did feel like something good that they actually incorporated from Big Brother, and it kind of showed who was most prepared for the final. Because Wes and Nehemiah, like, I don't believe them when they say that they've been sandbagging the daily challenges all season, but they felt the most prepared because they just came in and they killed that challenge. Specifically, Wes, like they dominated everyone in this challenge. Jonna also did well herself, but yeah, it kind of shows like who's been thinking about like surviving and who's been thinking about the win the entire time.
Yeah, Wes's comment just pissed me off, quite frankly, because the only one I truly believe he did that for might have been trivia, because that's a direct to knockout game. But the rest of them, it's like, why would you not try to get first place? He's so arrogant.
Like, why wouldn't you try?
But it's just so funny because they were both so good this episode that I'm like, God damn it, they kind of like I don't believe you, but they both did so well the entire episode since Nehemiah's elimination that I'm kind of like,
well,
eh.
That episode really played to their strengths, which we'll talk about as we go on. But like this was a lot of the things that they did throughout this challenge and then throughout the final, like really set them up pretty well.
Yeah.
I also very much had a moment where I was like, I knew Zoe would be upset because TJ let out this like huge laugh for something that wasn't funny. I think Kayla's like, oh my God, I wish I had a taquito. And he was like acting like he was on a first Tinder date where he's like, oh, if I laugh at her jokes, like.
I was like, did he actually laugh at that? Or was that just really weird editing? Because it didn't make any sense.
It wasn't that funny.
No, I mean, like, who wouldn't want a taquito anytime?
They're delicious.
Weird. It was weird. Thank you for acknowledging that because that did make me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Talking about Kayla, she gets accused of cheating on Naya's board in the daily challenge, which I personally think Kayla had one or two questions she didn't know the answer to. She looked at Naya, she looked at KellyAnne's, like anyone would on the challenge. Fills it in, gets it right. If you're like, that's how you play the challenge. Like, literally expect it. Naya is aghast. She can't believe this is happening on this show. She cannot even comprehend it, and she calls it cheating. If you're not cheating, you are trying sometimes. And yeah.
Well, and I'm sorry to be this person because I really like Naya. Since when is she the morality police? Like, and the thing is, if she in that moment really felt like she was looking, say to her, quit looking at my shit. And I guarantee you Kayla would have never looked over that board one more time. It's part of the game. Like, that's why people tear down their puzzles when they're finished, because people can look at them.
I was so pro cheating. I was like half expecting, because I think at one point it seemed like Jonna, because of the editing, didn't wipe her puzzle. I think it was Jonna. And I was like, just run over to hers. Like, look right at it. Who gives a shit? Like, that's why people pull them off when they're done, because it's fair game to go look at it. Like,
it was, for me, it was very reminiscent of, I think it was Double Agents, when Nani was like cheating off of CT's puzzle and then she lost still.
My poor baby.
Well,
I mean, like, lost that comp.
And my thing too is like, Naya very easily, like once Kayla got hers right, could have been like, oh, what did she get right? Like the fact that she still got last place, I don't feel bad for her. It'd be different if she got third place by like a mere few seconds. I could be like, okay, well, that kind of sucks. But like, well, even so, I wouldn't. It's part of the game.
And she was just salty because she came in last. Like, get a grip. Like, KellyAnne still beat you. And if the girl who was copying you beat you, like, you weren't going to win. Like, what else is there to say? Like, you just didn't do well.
You just know if the devil Beth was there, she would have been like, see, they're all cheaters.
I just feel like at this point, the rest of the treehouse is out of the house anyways. They know that Kayla's a lone wolf. So they're like, oh, I shouldn't say they. Naya's like, she's an easy target. Like, let's say she's cheating because maybe something will change. And who's going to buck up against me because it's Kayla. All her numbers are gone.
There was one point where Nia was talking about how much she's grown and how she wasn't throwing a temper tantrum. And I was like, you're still throwing a temper tantrum. Like, for me, I know what temper tantrums look like. You're just not throwing an explosive temper tantrum. You're sitting there pouting and whining and like trying to make her like feel guilty. And Kayla's just trying to like have a normal conversation with her. I don't think Kayla really meant like, oh, our friendship means so much to me. I think she was just trying to like calm her down, but like you're still throwing a temper tantrum. You're just doing it in a like sad way instead of like exploding and auditioning for Bad Girls Club. Like, give me a break.
And I thought it was really crass for like Kayla's like, I consider us friends and like I would never want to like harm our friendship, just like Zoe said. And for her to just so curtly be like, oh, we're not friends. It's like, I get you're heated in the moment, but and she said, we've only known each other for 4 weeks. That might be true, but if you know someone for 4 weeks and you live in the same house as them and do every single thing with them for weeks, you're going to build some type of friendship or connection. She just was so salty and was disappointing because I like Nia and I feel like she's had, an okay comeback season. And now she just is like looking like a child.
What upset me was that Nia's like, yeah, like we're not friends. Here's the thing though. Nia, it was either on Twitter or Instagram, like weeks ago, posted something about how someone that borrowed her pink dress for a confessional, like one of her friends, like betrays her. And somebody's like, oh, was it KellyAnne? Because KellyAnne's wearing her dress in one of them. And she's like, no, it was someone else. And then in that same episode, Kayla's wearing that pink dress.
Well, and on top of that, like if she truly doesn't see Kayla as a friend, why does she care if someone who's not her friend looked at her board? Like it just was such a faulty argument that it kind of exhausted me. Like I can understand being mad in the moment, like having a gut reaction, but then just coming off of it and being like, okay, that's the game. Like she said, ball never lies. Okay, ball never lied. You still got 4th place.
And you wanted to quit last week. Like, give me a break.
I will say, the women, when they get back to the house, despite it all, they still managed to have some wine. They still managed to, skinny dip in the pool. I mean, go topless, just have some fun, which I actually appreciated because it kind of reminded me of Challenge All Stars 1.
Did you actually appreciate it?
Oh, yeah.
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 So modest.
Yes. But yeah, I just thought it was like, despite all the tension between them, they were able to actually have fun and be like, all right, we made it to the final. We're here all together for different reasons, but like we're here and we're gonna leave it all on the field. So I did kind of appreciate that. Like that's a little bit, I don't know. I'm not like into the old school stuff that much, but I like that scene.
Tag yourself. I'm Wes with the bread of the Gatorade.
Everyone should have been Wes with the bread and the Gatorade. They all should have been Wes.
So yeah. Kayla's like, that's a weird snack. I'm like, you've never come home drunk from going out and just thought there's some carbs. There's something that's gonna.
He's not even drunk.
Yeah.
He's just preparing for the final. That's the next day. I was shocked to see them like swimming and doing stuff before the inevitable final.
I'm guessing that they didn't drink as much as it seemed like they did. I think they all just had like a glass or two of wine or whatever. But like, God, get some fucking carbs and protein in your body.
I kept watching the like, oh, that's a weird snack, Wes, and I'm like, you should be eating the same thing. You should be grabbing a Gatorade and a baguette too.
It's not a weird snack.
And I'm like, let's just talk about it. Wes is just like, we talked about it since like day one. He was on the treadmill. He's been going after the biggest threats the entire game. He's been memorizing that wall. This guy's had victory on his mind the entire game. Like, and nothing is like, nobody is more prepared than Wes. And like in a game full of all-stars, like nobody is like even close to as prepared as he is. And I respect that so much.
Yeah, I hate to admit that I do too. I really like, he grinds all of my gears, but like he's just been playing the long game this whole time. And I'm glad, I hate to say, I'm glad that he's here. And I'm glad that like he is showing like what people are supposed to do in these scenarios. Like it's kind of laying the groundwork for someone else coming in on future season. Be like, okay, I have to have this playbook in mind because he's played it brilliantly.
I was just laughing because Zoe sounded sicker saying that than Allan does all in general.
Well, I also think that like yes, Wes, it can be grading, but to exactly what Zoe said, he came with a game plan. And I think on All-Stars 1 specifically, there were not big alliances. There were not like master schemes. It was just like, okay, if you get caught in this week, that's what it is. I might be mad. We'll go back and we'll hug each other after this. All-Stars 2, we kind of got that alliance with Nehemiah and Tech and Ayana. I can't remember the King's Palace. And that was kind of fun. Like, they were annoying, but it was fun to see like an alliance form. But this season, for sure, we got gameplay, alliances, like real rivalries. So he's like, without him and Kayla, I'm going to give her credit, I'm not sure that we would have had all that.
In a world, yeah.
On the men's side.
I legit think in a world where Wes isn't on the show, we see Darrell, yes, Jordan, and Mark in the final. And like instead, it's him, and he gets to run with two of his best friends, and Brad and Nehemiah. And then, the Godfather, Mark Long. I mean, Mark Long was going to be in this final regardless. I don't think there's a world where Mark wasn't in the final. But
I forgot he was there.
Yeah, but like he gets to run. He's been playing the long game, and now he gets to run with his two best friends. Where even if he loses, there's like a 50% chance one of his best friend wins. That's kind of primo, and also his 10+ year ex-girlfriend. Which, why the hell is that scene in the episode?
I feel like Wes kind of forced that conversation. Like, weird, just weird.
She looked perplexed. She looked so perplexed.
Well, because it's not like they worked together all season long. Like, if they had, it would make sense, I guess. But, like, they never really spoke. I mean, there were a few times I'd see them in the background, like, exchanging words. But it was like Wes just wanted to bring up, by the way, we used to date. And KellyAnne's like, okay.
It's like, have you ever had an ex that you kind of forgot that you dated come up to you, like, at a party? And they're like, oh, would you ever imagine we'd be friends like this? And I'm like, you're in the way of the fridge where I'm getting my drink. We don't need this moment.
Yeah. I almost ran over one in a sidewalk once. Not on but like driving.
Sounds on purpose.
It wasn't on purpose. But then, because it's one I kind of ghosted, and then I was like, oh shit, it's him. And then he was like, I was like, oh no.
So you almost turned him into an actual ghost?
Yeah, into an actual ghost.
Seems like something KellyAnne might do is run over an ex.
Okay, Christmas, relax.
You're grouping me in with KellyAnne. I think I'm a little bit offended.
A little.
Sorry.
A lot bit.
Anyway, sorry. Tangent.
So do you guys want to just jump into the final now?
Yeah.
I mean, they did, so.
Yeah. We go to the final. We find out what's going on with the stars. Either you have five, does not matter. What happened was production realized they wouldn't know how to use them as grenades or advantages, and so they're like, you know what, Johnny and Nehemiah, you get 5 points to start off. Just get 5 points.
That is so stupid, by the way. Like, at first, I was like, okay, like, they put themselves out there. But no, that penalizes people who won dailies and did not have to go into elimination. Like, Kayla and Brad had such a stellar season and made great moves, but don't get a star for that. But John A, because she got sent down and won a daily before someone was disqualified, it's just so uneven. And it was just so obvious that they were like, we want this John A storyline again, that she is the queen of all stars, which I believe she is. But it just was so annoying.
Why didn't they get like a 5-minute head start? Or like, I thought they would get a head start based on how many stars they had.
It shouldn't have been 5 points. That was too many points.
Nah, going up there like Dumbledore, just handing out points like that.
I
wrote in my blog it should be 3, and I have no reasoning for that other than it's lower than 5.
Yeah, I feel like 3 at the most sounds appropriate. And if that's how they were going to use them, they should have been giving out stars for winning dailies too.
I so agree.
It's just another way for production to be like, leave some sort of suspense about who's going to win the final. Like when they give them individual timers and they team them up. Like, I'm not keeping track of how many stars people have or how many points they have. I'm not remembering.
They're like, production's obviously not super transparent, but with a stipulation like this that takes place in the final, they should have known that, because that would be incentive to go into elimination. But it's a game where you don't want to do that. So I just don't understand.
It's giving
they
skulls.
did not know. They did not know what the Stars were going to do. They just had no clue. They got to the final and realized, oh shit, we don't know what we're doing with this. So here's 5 points. It sucks, but it's true. I actually do think Brad and Kayla, like, I thought they were actually going to get more penalized by having the least amount of stars and not being able to use them as like advantages grenades. So I think they were still penalized, but I don't think they were as penalized as they could have been. I was expecting it to be much worse.
I also have a hot take about this final before we talk about like it actually starting. On All-Stars 1, it made so much sense to have checkpoints because there's only one winner. Like it leveled the field up until the last leg, which did not level the field. If you're running it in pairs, you don't need it to be leveled like that. Like they could have run a straight through final that was not points based, and like those stars actually could have come into play. But the checkpoints, I don't really love this season because A, we've already had it on the first season, and two, like it's makes it more luck based. Like let's say Wes is the best guy there, and you get him on one of his strongest suits, and then you get Nehemiah on his worst. It's just like it's annoying.
I think the checkpoints, only because they were switching partners, that's the only reason they had to do it that way. But I don't love it either. I think it drags down some of your good competitors. And I don't think it really does anything for the weaker competitors. Like if we're talking in these partnered portions, I think you're at the biggest disadvantage being paired with Mark and Naya. Because Mark, like you said, can't run. And Naya can't either. I don't know if anyone watched the way that she was moving her legs and her arms. It was driving me nuts. I have a pet peeve, which is girls running in really weird, stupid ways, which happens a lot because I don't think we teach girls how to run properly. But like
only from men.
And pump your arms. Like, don't skate along the ground. Like, I was like, maybe Naya's long legs will give her an advantage, even though she's out of shape. And I was like, nope, not the way she's moving them.
Hope she would have been
Zoe.
like a gazelle.
Zoe, your all-time least favorite person, though, great runner, Teresa. She runs so well. Like
I know she does, and I can't hate on that. Yeah.
I feel like you could power through it and find a way to hate on her.
I mean, I could find many ways to hate on her, but not her running.
Yeah, it's one of the, like, that was like, you watch her running, like, you know what, she just had bad luck with partners. That's the thing. A lot of other problems too, but like, runs phenomenally. Well, yeah, we need to go back to the format of this final a little bit just to like define. If you come in first place in your partner section, you get 4 points. Second place, you get 3 points. Third place, you get 2 points. Fourth place, you get 1 point. And then after, you have a face-off, which is kind of like a mini dual elimination, where it's you and an opponent. If you win it, you get 5 points. If you don't, you lose it. It's kind of hardcore. At first, I hated it, but I kind of like it now. It's creative, and it's outside the box, and it's something we've never seen, and that's why I like it. It's something that's interesting because there is a strategy element where you maybe want to come in second or third place in the partner portion so that way you can pick your opponent based on what you see the matchup is and get your 5 points, because like that's ultimately what you want, the 5 points over the 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's what I didn't like about the whole matchup part, was that like it's sort of like you were being punished for coming in first, because like then the slower people got to pick like who they went against. And I was wondering if there was like a way that if you got there first, like, could you wait to see what someone else picks?
Yeah. Like you could decline to go against the next and let them go somewhere else. Like you get to the first person to get there could like assign opponents almost. I think would have been more appropriate.
That would have been very cool.
I just think there is like an element to the game where like there are certain ways where you can catch up and you can fall behind in certain ways that are just we've never seen in a final that I just it's different, and I'll welcome different if it could play out well. I think there have been bad twists. I'm not ready to declare this a bad twist. I'm intrigued. That's the main thing.
It makes it engaging to watch at the end of the day.
Yeah. So we have the final first part kicks off, and it's an opening run where they get a 30-second head start based on how they finished in the nighttime challenge from the previous day. Wes and John A are a pair. Kayla and Nehemiah, KellyAnne and Mark, and Brad and Naya. 30 seconds is actually like quite a bit of time, as we see. Because Yeah, because nobody ended up overtaking whoever they were behind based on that head start. West really did a good job in pushing John A. Kayla looked really impressive the entire way, and Nehemiah ran alongside her the entire time. Really good partner in that regard. Mark struggled, but was quite a bit ahead of Brad and Nia. Nia was not doing well.
The way Mark was like, oh, like, running's not my thing. It's like, okay, well then what is it?
Being the Godfather.
There's so much running on that show.
You know what though? Like I've seen, like it's funny because like I've never seen Mark struggle on the challenge. Even All Stars 1, I've never seen him struggle. This one, he looks so physically worn down.
But All Stars 1, there was times he was like partnered with Anissa, and
Yeah.
like lesser, like Jamie, John A wasn't really in good shape. So like think of like if he was partnered with those women during those phases, he just has to look better than them.
Yeah, 1000%. Like looking back, but like personally, I've just never seen him suck. So that's why like I've just like until I see it happen, it doesn't exist. I'll always like I'm not a big Mark fan, but I've just never seen him like be bad until today, and I'm like, all right, Father Time's hitting his clock. Like he's this like you are officially old now. Like
I thought you were calling him Father Time for a minute.
No. I mean like. And it's been a good 50 years. I mean, he beat Jordan elimination. He's had a good season, but like my God, he was not looking good in this final. They get to the first checkpoint where you have to build a raft and then go out to sea, make a whole turn around the ocean, around the water, and back and forth. West faces Brad. Nehemiah faces Mark. Nia faces John A. And KellyAnne faces Kayla.
Does she though?
What happened to KellyAnne, man?
I thought she was a paddleboarder.
Didn't matter. That puzzle took too long.
Yeah,
Nehemiah
shocking.
So cute with his oar.
Oh.
It was like the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Because that's what I would have done. I don't know anything about rowing where I'd be like, it's just this, right?
I mean, if your hand works to do the same thing, why wouldn't like the smaller end of the oar work? Like
an otter.
And it did. I mean, that was fun to watch.
All right, let's keep it a little more organized, just like to get through it. Wes was the because we had 3 different points, but Wes was like the first person to actually like get his and does, and then Brad was actually second. So that face-off was heated the entire time. They came close to each other at the turn. Wes beats Brad, gets the 5 points. Brad's down bad, 4th place. No face-off points. Already starting bad. Nehemiah kills it, as we mentioned. Hilarious. Just destroys Mark.
He looks good. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah. John A was happy because she's like, there's no way Nia can paddleboard. Then Nia beats her, which I didn't see coming. Good for Nia.
Nia's definitely benefiting from this checkpoint style final. Big time.
Oh, 1000%. Then Kayla does well. I mean, she beats KellyAnne. KellyAnne just doesn't do the puzzle. And I did kind of laugh. I'll be honest. I know you guys weren't fans, but like I laughed at KellyAnne just laying on the boat and waiting to be rescued.
I don't blame her. Would have done the same.
Sense.
Conserve that energy.
Yeah, these partners then, like based on how they finished with the raft building, that was their new partnerships for the second leg. We see Nehemiah partnered with Nia, Wes partnered with Kayla, Brad partnered with KellyAnne. And who's the other person? Who's the other? Mark and
John A.
Mark and John A. And they now have to run, get a tandem bicycle, then tandem bike over to the next checkpoint. This was a mess.
I just want to say one thing. Every time KellyAnne would get a partner, she looks upset with who she's partnered with. Like, Brad's performed really well this season. I would have been like, oh, hell yeah.
She did have to immediately massage his cramps and punch out his cramps, which, like, you get Brad the moment he's cramping up in the final. Not great.
But she didn't know.
It's just funny because KellyAnne is so capable of winning one of these shows, but she just is mentally not all there. It's kind of crazy.
They were in first place, but then she had to work out his cramp.
Yeah, she did.
Also bad luck. your chain falling off your bike.
I production should have given them a new chain or a new bike. Like, I just don't think that's fair. That's not their fault.
You don't have to put the chain back on, though?
It broke. They couldn't even put it back on because it broke. I checked for that.
I would have Flintstoned it away. Just feet on the ground. Then like, all right.
Might as well just walk
it. Father Time has decided that Mark Long is too old and muscular and good looking to ride a bike anymore. It's just they break on him. He's just not allowed to ride bikes. Yeah, but that ends up putting them in 4th place. Nehemiah and Nia kind of struggle because Nia can't really run that well, so coming 3rd. Kayla kills it alongside West. They're just so in shape and they're just so capable. Kayla looks like the best girl in this final physically. Brad and KellyAnne come in 2nd. They get to another checkpoint where it is a mental game. They have to look at a bunch of stars, figure out which ones are specific to the board or whatever, then find out like a numbered code, something. It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle. It's a memory game.
It was puzzling to me.
Wes takes on Mark. Nehemiah takes on Brad. John A takes on Kayla. And Nia takes on KellyAnne. On the men's side, Wes blows everyone out of the water. It's like not even close. And like he literally starts this final by going first place, 2 face-off wins in a row. Nehemiah's lead is already gone. He had a 5-point advantage, already gone.
Yeah. And to be fair, not to jump ahead, I don't know if we're moving this direction. I'll give Nia her credit. She killed this portion too. Like when I looked at it, I was like, where would I even begin to look? It was so smart to say, let's just look at the bottom point.
I said to myself right before she said that, I was like, it has to be the bottom one. It was just standing out to me for some reason. And I was like, it has to be the bottom one. But like, I also said to myself, some of these challenges just seem way too hard and unreasonable for people to do. It's bad enough to like have to find the one, but have to do that with 4. Like you're memorizing 4 of those lines and then trying to find the one that's off. That's really hard.
I was humbled trying to do this along with them. I was like, you know what? This one isn't for me. This one. And poor Mark, I'm going to just mention that he's old again. That eyesight? How is he going to be able to see that?
Poor Mark.
Brad pulls out the win over Nehemiah, which is very important because if Brad doesn't win that, he's just done from the final. It becomes a 2-horse race between Nehemiah and Wes because they would have been just crushing everyone. Brad is still significantly behind, but that was a good win there. KellyAnne gets beat out by John A. By Nia quite a bit, and then John A beats Kayla. After the first 2 legs, the standings go as such. Wes is in 1st place with 18 points. Nehemiah is in 2nd with 15. Only 3 points behind, but considering the 5-point advantage, Wes is very much dominating this final. Brad has 9 points. That's quite a significant margin behind. He's going to need to pick Wes for his future face-offs to ensure that Wes does not gain points and that he can gain ground on him. If he loses one of those face-offs, he probably does not win the final.
Bionic Brad.
It's not a great situation to be in.
I always worry when someone looks like they're dominating a final, like a 2-parter final, because I'm like, oh no.
Nehemiah knows all about that.
Mark looks like he's hoping for like a purge at this point. He's like, he's all like, can last place get knocked out? I don't really want to run this anymore. I've come in like 4th place. I've come in 4th place. And
buddy, just break your toe. So helicopter you out.
Mark is done. He's just out of this final already, and it's just sad to see because he doesn't want to push on, but he knows he has to because he has an image to keep up. He's just so mentally checked out, though.
He's the Godfather, and I hope that this is his last showing. Just like, and listen, he's capable in some aspects. He beat Jordan. Cannot strip that from him. But when it comes down to the ultimate challenge of the season, the final, which every season has, he's not cut out for it. And I wouldn't expect him to be. He's 50 years old.
From godfather to grandfather, the poor guy. Just
really, yeah.
He could segue into hosting. I need a TJ break.
Really makes you think. Alton kind of stunk. Alton kind of really stunk. I mean, he lost to Mark in that final straight up. Couldn't keep up with him at all.
Yeah, but he left with a great prize. That woman.
Me and Zoe.
Yeah, all right. So, on the women's side, Johnny has 15 points, Naya has 13 points, Kayla has 12 points, and KellyAnne has 5 points. Johnny would not be in the lead right now. She'd be in third place if not for the 5-point advantage. Naya has 13 points, but she's come in fourth and third place in the 2 legs where the 2 face-offs have been beneficial towards her. Kayla has looked like the most impressive overall. She's doing good in both. The face-offs look like they might be what kills her because, I don't know, maybe the next portions will come up big for her, but they've been mental so far, or one of them has.
She's not great at one-on-ones.
Physically, she's been fantastic. And KellyAnne's in dead last, but I'm not saying KellyAnne's dead because she's
just last.
Well, no, because she was in this spot on All Stars 1 where she was like last place, second to last to start the final, and then she ended up tying for first in the end by like rallying together. So I'm not putting anything past KellyAnne. I think she's capable, but things aren't looking good for her.
And in my perspective, she came in first in that All Stars 1 final because her and Johnny tied for points, but she beat Johnny up on the hike. So, like, yeah, anything's possible. And as far as Kayla with the mental stuff, I think that she, like, psychs herself out as much as it's hard for her. You can just, like, I have to say, her going up against Johnny, I probably would have done the same thing. I've been like, this bitch, she's got this in the bag. But, like, I think she needs to have a little more confidence, and that will help her moving forward.
Yeah, it looks like in the trailer for next week too, based on some of the face-offs, we're gonna get like a physical one based on size where you push an opponent off a platform. There's gonna be an eating one.
Yes.
I love
like
Kayla needs to come up big. Kayla needs to come up big in those ones for her to win. John A is right now looking like, even though like she's just such a threat because she's just competent in everything. You could imagine John A winning any type of face-off.
Yeah, and on top of that, TJ says, you guys are going to hate me for this, which only leads me to speculate that he's going to throw in an elimination in the final. They've done it the past several seasons on the main show, so I could so see them adapting that to this show. Because it's not an equalizer. It's just like, okay, like, this is part of the game. Who's going in? And that could totally level the playing field if, like, John A went up against Naya. Like, or if John A went up against KellyAnne and KellyAnne won, like that would knock John A and all her points off the board. So I'm interested to see what that's all about.
I think he was referring to the food part.
Mm.
Or the staying up all night portion.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
And there's probably going to be a portion that's worth like, if someone falls down bad, it's like, all right, this portion's worth 25 points, guys. Take it or leave it. Like if West just starts dominating, it's like, all right, guys, this portion, 25 points, take it or leave it.
That's kind of how I felt about the All Stars 1 final, where like the last section was worth 10 points. No matter who got first place, they were winning. Like it didn't matter about the rest. I mean, the rest of it did matter because they compiled points, but you knew if you crossed that finish line first, you got 10 points. Because second was 8. I mean, it just, I hope there's nothing like this on this season because that was just kind of lame.
Yeah, I agree.
Really phoning it in with that.
So what else do we got to say right now?
Is the overnight portion next? Is that what we're gearing up for? And do we know the partners for that?
They're kayaking. So right now the partners are Wes and Naya, John A and Brad, Nehemiah and Kayla back together again, and then KellyAnne and Brad back together again. So I actually think like kayaking, stuff like that, I like KellyAnne and Brad and Nehemiah and Kayla quite a bit. I just think they're physically the most strong duos. West having Naya could be the spot where maybe takes a dip.
Also, a little funny how much like West doesn't like Jordan. That the downfall to his game in this final right now is like Jordan's partner, romantic partner.
Hey, West likes Naya. They've been friends for a while.
And
no, but I just think it's. I'm not saying anything against her. I'm just saying it's funny that this could be his downfall.
Yeah, I liked how they gave the segment of like kayaking can be make or break to a final because like I feel like for the longest time it was just like, oh, this is another part of this final. But if you look back at past seasons, which they showed us the clips, like that can really screw over someone's game. If you think about it, in All Stars 1, it screwed over Derrick. I mean,
really did. I never can understand why kayaking is so hard for some of these people. And maybe that's the Vermonter in me. Like, I've just done enough things outside, but kayaking's not hard.
At
you know
all.
what? Speak for yourselves. I just learned how to swim like last year. I was in a panic when they had to build that little raft, and I was like, "Are they getting life jackets? Are they going to get life jackets?" And then he's like, "Okay, we'll figure it out." Yeah, but
swimming
you
kayaking
flip
is
in
literally
that.
something like this.
Yeah, but what if you flip?
We
It's
talked, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to flip. It's much harder than like they make it seem. Now they're going to, like on past seasons, they've gone down rapids and stuff. Like, okay, maybe understandable, but like it doesn't look like they're about to face rapids. I think they're just going to be in the ocean kayaking.
Yeah, we talked about this back in the double agents final. We had a whole thing on just kayaking alone. Like we didn't realize how big it was. It is kind of funny when someone sucks at kayaking. I'm sorry, it's just kind of funny.
It is funny because it's not hard.
I'm glad I've never done it. But when I do, I'll make sure someone films it for you guys. You can do a recap on my failures.
I think I kayaked before I learned how to swim. It was not that. It wasn't that hard at all.
No.
I grew up in a city. I can't play music.
I live in a city too.
I kayaked for the first time at 21, and it was like second nature. It's just easy.
Oh, but look at you. You look like a pro kayaker. You look amazing, Luke. You look handsome. You look amazing, brother.
Thank you. I kayak all the time now, so I'd be so ready for this part of the final.
All right, so I think that's our episode.
Kind of ends as anticlimactically as the episode does.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good episode, but it's hard to recap, honestly, because it was kind of like 2 episodes into one, with Derrick in the final. There's just a lot going on. We're gonna cap it off next week with our like final finale episode. I thought this week would be the finale. It's not. It's next week. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at CF Confessionals, Instagram Caffeine Confessional Podcast, CaffeineConfessional.com, on YouTube. Give us a like, subscribe. Follow Zoe on Twitter at Nani Gonzalez. Follow Nikki on Twitter at the Nikki Sin. Follow Luke at Final Reckoning with an I. The L is an I, not the, there's obviously I in Reckoning, but whatever. Me on Twitter at the Allan. Have a great day.
Till next time.